Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is daily update for MULN stock, and I got a good news and a bad news for you guys on MULN stock, and also I want to talk about what I think is going to happen tomorrow. Before I begin the video, if you're new to the channel, do consider subscribing. The objective of the channel is to get you guys information. I'm not a financial advisor, but at the same time, I want to help you guys understand what's happening with the stock. So if you're invested in the stock, at least you can make a sound decision. So let's talk about the bad news first, okay? The bad news is MULN is issuing another 2.1 billion shares of common stock. And how many shares does MULN have outstanding? Let's take a look. MULN has about 3.8 billion shares outstanding. Now that's a bad news because there's more dilution coming in the stock, which means that you have the prices could further drop from 10 cents, 8 cents, depending on how it goes. But this is more dilution here. You have 2.1 billion shares more available for the stock, and that's the bad for the price action. Like, this is going to be bad for the price overall. The good news is MULN is going to be capped out, which means that they only authorized to issue 5 billion shares. And once they do all the shares and they go ahead and they issue everything, at that point, we're going to have a true price. However, that good news has a little bit of a caveat. For example, if they do a reverse stock split, what reverse stock split does, it's a phenomenon that it doesn't make sense to me that every time they do a reverse stock split, it's going to reduce the number of outstanding shares. For example, when they do, 1 to 200, for example, they combine 200 shares into one. It brings down your outstanding shares, which is whichever's out in the market. However, it does not change your authorized shares. For example, if they have 5 billion shares and they do a reverse stock split and they bring down the outstanding shares to, let's say, 3 billion, the authorized still stays at 5 billion. So which means they still gained another 2 billion shares. So that's kind of that I don't understand how that, reverse stocks usually, it should not work like this. I think when they do the reverse stock split, your authorized number of shares should also go down. That's the only caveat that I see once they reach that 5 billion number. And, at that point, if David wants to get cashed, he could probably do a reverse stock split and bring the outstanding shares down and then issue another warrant for 2 billion shares. So that is a possibility, which I will let you know when they do the reverse stock split, and I'll go over it. What the statement is. Usually everything is filed into SEC filing, so we will able to see the whole thing, and I'll bring it down to you guys when it does happen. But that's the only caveat I see when they do the reverse stock split. But for now, if they issue everything, 5 billion shares, the price is going to be true, so we know exactly where MULN stands right now. As I said in my previous videos as well, the current problem with MULN is they don't have investors, okay? They are only surviving off of retail investors, basically. That is 100% true, and nobody can actually challenge me on that, because at the end of the day, if you go to the institution holdings, it's about 6%. That's very minuscule. And again, retail investors are the heavy part of this whole scheme. So that's why they keep issuing these warrants, because they know that retail investors will come back. And let's say if you're, for example, buying a stock at 8 cents, which you're promised that stock is going to go to, let's say, $1 or $2. A lot of people will buy, small amounts, 8 cents, they buy like $500 worth of shares. That's nothing, right? It's 8 cents a share. So they get a lot of quantity, and they're thinking that, of course, when it goes to $1, $2, $3, or $24 for that matter, people are purely gambling on this. And that's fine. That's fine. That's a meme stock, and, this is how it's supposed to be played. However, I think, if you are invested in a meme stock, make sure you are only investing the money you're willing to lose, and don't put in the money that you really is your savings or something like that, because I wouldn't really trust the company at this point. With that being said, let's take a look at the chart for Monday. So what I think is going to happen tomorrow is basically, I think the stock is heading down. I believe the stock is going to go to 9 cents. The reason I say this is because right now there is no such catalyst that would push the stock price up. Of course, there's going to be some momentum. Traders going to come in, for example. Let's say, people are watching different videos and things like that. They'll be motivated to buy more shares. And yeah, that's going to push the price a little bit. But I do feel the stock is still going to hover between 8 cents, 9 cents, and 10 cents. Maybe 11 cents if we find a little bit of a catalyst or something, some short pockets of, squeezes coming in. For example, if people are shorting the stock and somebody buys a large sum of shares, it pushes the price up. The people are shorting the stock would have to cover their shorts, and maybe you could push the stock price up to 11 cents. But I think for the most part, majority part, I think is going to hover between 8 cents, 10 cents, 11 cents. And I made a video the other day, and I told you guys that I do feel that May is going to be good for the stock. And I do feel that May we might be able to get to 20 cents, which I will let you know, because there's going to be a lot of activity coming on May. And from the technical standpoint, I do feel that May is going to be really good for the stock, but we'll have to find out as we go forward. If you aren't invested in the stock, definitely take my advice and only invest in the money that you're willing to lose, because meme stocks are not growth. this is not to me, this is not a Apple, this is not a Google stock, this is not, you know, big, for example, Walmart stock. This is a meme stock. Okay, just let's treat it that way. This is not, I know this is an EV stock, but at the same time, the stock has popularities because of retail investors. So treat it as such, and hopefully you guys are liking these daily videos, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.